Tucked away in the heart of East Africa, surrounded by the lush green hills and the glistening waters of Lake Tanganyika, lies a small, landlocked country that many around the world have never truly seen or heard: Burundi. Despite its natural beauty and rich cultural traditions, Burundi remains one of the least understood and most underreported nations on Earth. Its story is not just about a struggling nation, it's about resilience, forgotten history, complex politics, and a people who continue to endure. Burundi's history is deeply rooted in ancient African kingdoms. For centuries, it was ruled by monarchs, the Ganwa kings, who unified the Tutsi, Hutu, and Twa ethnic groups into a kingdom that resisted colonial encroachment longer than many others. But by the late 19th century, European colonialism arrived. First, the Germans claimed Burundi as part of German East Africa. After World War I, Belgium took control under a League of Nations mandate, combining it with neighbouring Rwanda to form Rwanda-Urundi. This colonial manipulation exacerbated ethnic tensions by favouring one group over another, sowing seeds of division that would tragically erupt in the decades to come. Burundi gained independence in 1962, but freedom came with challenges. The power struggles between the Hutu majority and the historically elite Tutsi minority quickly turned violent. The country saw repeated coups, assassinations, and a long cycle of civil war that devastated generations. The 1993 assassination of Burundi's first democratically elected Hutu president, Melchior Ndadaye, plunged the nation into ethnic bloodshed that killed hundreds of thousands and displaced even more. Peace was elusive until the 2005 Arusha Accords attempted to rebuild the nation's fragile democracy. Today, Burundi is under the leadership of President Evariste Ndayishimiye, who came to power in 2020 following the unexpected death of longtime President Pierre Nkurunziza. Though the new leadership has promised reform and national healing, the political climate remains tense. Opposition voices are often silenced, media is tightly controlled, and international observers continue to raise concerns about human rights violations. Political power is still concentrated in the hands of the ruling party, and democracy remains more of an ideal than a practice. Burundi's economy is largely agricultural, with over 80% of its population relying on subsistence farming. Coffee and tea are the main exports, but with little industrialization and a heavy reliance on foreign aid, the country remains one of the poorest in the world. According to the World Bank, more than 70% of Burundians live below the poverty line. This poverty isn't just about income. It's a deep-rooted, structural issue that impacts access to clean water, education, healthcare, and even food. Food insecurity is a chronic crisis in Burundi. Though the land is fertile, frequent droughts, overpopulation, and poor infrastructure make it hard to grow or transport enough food. Malnutrition is widespread, especially among children. Traditional Burundian cuisine features foods like ugali, a maize porridge, beans, plantains, and fresh vegetables when available. Meat is a luxury for most families, reserved for special occasions. Even in cities like Bujumbura, access to consistent, nutritious meals is a daily struggle. Healthcare in Burundi tells another grim tale. Public hospitals are underfunded and poorly equipped. There's a severe shortage of doctors, and many rural communities have no access to medical care at all. Diseases like malaria, HIV/AIDS, and respiratory infections are rampant. The life expectancy hovers around 61 years, one of the lowest in Africa. For expectant mothers and newborns, the odds are even worse. Maternal mortality rates remain high, and many births take place without any trained medical personnel. Crime, while not as organized or violent as in some larger African countries, is still a concern, especially in urban areas. Poverty-driven petty theft is common. During times of political unrest, reports of arbitrary arrests, torture, and state-led violence increase dramatically. However, for most Burundians, their greatest threat isn't crime in the traditional sense. It's the quiet, daily battle for survival. It's the fear that your child might not eat today, or that a cough could turn deadly without medicine. Yet, amidst all this hardship, there is hope. Quiet, humble, persistent hope. You see it in the faces of school children walking miles just for a chance to learn. You see it in farmers sowing seeds, even in the most unpredictable seasons. You see it in communities rebuilding homes, not waiting for government aid, but leaning on each other. Burundians are some of the most resilient people on the continent. The cost of living in Burundi, at first glance, appears low. A meal on the street can cost less than $1. Rent in rural areas is minimal, and local transportation is cheap. But these low costs reflect a deeper economic reality. Very few people earn enough to afford even these simple things. A vast informal economy dominates life here, and with unemployment and underemployment high, many survive on barter, side hustles, or the charity of neighbors. The international community has often overlooked Burundi, focusing its attention on more strategic regions. But that's a mistake, because Burundi is not just a headline waiting to happen. It's a nation of over 12 million people with dreams, with a past that shaped them, and a future that still hangs in the balance. Their story matters. As the world rapidly changes, one thing is clear. Nations like Burundi can no longer remain invisible. Their struggles, and more importantly, their resilience, deserve to be told, shared, and understood. Because in understanding, we find connection. And in connection, we find the seeds of real change. Hey guys, thank you for watching and see you in the next one. God bless.